Well, hello, my lovelies. Today I'm going to do a Draw My Life. I've been really wanting to do this video for a long time, so I hope you enjoy. I was born February 21st, 1 week after Valentine's Day. I think that I already knew before I was born that I would not love that holiday, and so being born on that day would not be very good. So I waited a week and was born on the 21st of February in Logan, Utah. While my mom was pregnant, she was trying to figure out what to name me, and she liked very different names. And she was watching The Cosby Show one day, and one of the girls on The Cosby Show, her name in real life is Keisha. And my mom fell in love with that name and decided to name me that. I moved to West Valley, and I had two best friends. Their names were Crystal and Derek, and we did everything together. And it was so much fun. All my memories of West Valley were with Crystal and Derek. I grew up with my mom and dad for 4 blissful years alone, and then my sister Keisha was born. You'd think that that would be sad, but it actually turned out pretty good. She is such a sweet, sweet girl. She still is. She was soft-spoken, lovely, happy. We got along really well, probably because she was okay with me being the boss. And she kind of just went along with what I said that we were doing. I remember that we did lots of plays and talent shows in the living room for our parents and for our cat. And I remember we would take our cat and dress him up in doll clothes, and I don't think that he liked it very much. Sorry, Snowflake. Then we moved to Springville. 2 years later, after Keisha was born, my next sister Sadie was born. I thought it would be the same as when my sister Keisha was born. As we grew up, she wasn't so okay with me being the boss. She wanted that job, which caused us to butt heads quite often. She is the funniest sister, though. We've spent many nights laughing hysterically together. Now, as I was growing up, I had a lot of anxiety and self-esteem issues. I was grateful that I could go to a psychologist when I was young, and she was very sweet to me and helped me at a very young age find some of the self-esteem that I have luckily been able to cling to for my whole life. I really liked elementary school. I was a pretty good learner and my teachers loved me, which made me feel good. I was very much a people pleaser, and I always tried to make sure I did things to make my parents and teachers proud. One day, I was walking with my class into the library, and my friend and I walked on the opposite side of the stacks. Someone threw a football through the window and broke the glass. I looked down and my finger was bleeding, and I was very, very shy when I was young. And so I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to cause any problems. I finally kind of raised my hand very slowly and said, yeah, I think I got hit. I definitely needed stitches. Towards the end of my elementary years, I had already started having friends problems. I had been friends with one girl for several years, and all of a sudden she decided to be friends with another girl, and that girl decided I wasn't allowed in the friendship. And she manipulated my friend to dump me. I was extremely hurt for such a young girl. I never knew other people could be so manipulative and mean to someone that did nothing wrong. The next year was middle school, and I started over with my friends list. I was determined to be popular, but I wasn't willing to put up with the backstabbing or fakeness involved in it. I still to this day don't know if the people I tried to be friends with those years were nice to me off and on to make fun of me behind my back, or if they truly liked me and really did want to be my friend. By this time, my brother Cortland had been born. I remember feeling very overwhelmed that my parents were having another baby. I felt very, very responsible as the oldest and felt a lot of anxiety, although I didn't know that's what it was. I warmed up to my brother quickly, though, and soon was glad that we had a baby blonde brother in our family. I moved on to junior high, and this is where I found an actual group of friends that I felt like I sort of belonged in. Looking back, they were not the best group of friends I could have stayed with in high school, but in junior high we worked. I felt popular. I felt happy. I had parties to go to on the weekends. I had a best friend that I would go to her house and feel like an actual girl from the movies with. We'd just hang out, listen to music, talk about boys, and be real teenage girls. About this time, my last sister, Callie, was born. I remember figuring out that my mom was pregnant before she started telling anyone. I'd been through that enough times to know the signs, even though she wasn't showing it all. She was shocked and thought I had eavesdropped on her and my dad's conversation the night before. I remember feeling more dread than excitement. I tried to hug my excited mom, but I just cried in the shower that night because another kid, another responsibility on my shoulders, another kid to babysit, and another thing to worry about. My anxiety had gotten so bad I never stopped to think of the good things that come with a new baby, especially a new sibling. The responsibility would fall on my parents, but I wasn't able to see that. When my sister was born, there were complications with the epidural, and my mom was in excruciating pain for weeks after. One day I came home from school, and right when I walked in the door, my grandma handed me my week-old baby sister and said, "You're going to have to be really grown up, sweetie," and opened the front door wide to the sound of an ambulance and 2 men holding a stretcher. I watched from the side room as my mom was carried down the stairs in tears and pain and whisked away in an ambulance. 14-year-old me had no idea what to do with the precious baby after her mom was just rushed to the hospital. But as I've learned to do, I took a deep breath and sang lullabies to my little sister until my dad came home and told me my mom was going to be okay. I grew up a lot that day. During that time, we moved to another house in Springville, right across the street from the high school. I walked to and from school every day and even got to come home some days for lunch. I mentioned before that the friends I had in junior high were maybe not a great idea to stick with into high school. The feeling of acceptance in the group became more and more jaded. I would walk up to the group and they would cease talking as if they had just been making fun of me. I had a huge crush on one of the guys in the group. He had to know. It was obvious. But he was dating another girl, which I hated. And not just because she was dating him. I just did not get along with her personality. He led me on. He'd drive me home after a group hangout. He'd pull into the makeout spot of the high school parking lot, and we'd listen to music until he'd chicken out and take me home. Then the next day, he'd say horrible things to me and hold hands with his girlfriend like I was trash. And I felt like trash. I let him affect my self-esteem. One of the girls in the group started hanging out with a college boy and ended up pregnant at 17. Her tag-along, also in our group, started dating a senior and ended up pregnant her senior year. Every boy in the group had a massive crush on my best friend. They would constantly comment on her Facebook selfies that she was so beautiful, and I never even got a pity, "You too," except when I was alone with Crush Boy. He'd tell me I was beautiful, which turned out years later, he rated me over text message as a 4. A 4. Long story short, my self-esteem was crashing quickly and I needed to get out of that situation. Luckily, I have a really good mom that helped me know what to say and do and helped me feel good about myself. During all of this, I had 3 jobs. I was working at an ice cream shop in the mall, where I ended up meeting 2 really great guy friends. one of whom I'm still friends with today. I also worked at a pharmacy drugstore in town that totally crushed my soul when they accused me of stealing from them. I had tried to live my whole life to show I was a trustworthy person, and to have an adult wrongly accuse me of something so out of character broke my 17-year-old heart. I patched it up again, and it was stronger. I also worked at the movie theater in the mall, which, to be honest, only lasted less than a month because I couldn't handle 3 jobs and school and homework. I had to sleep sometime. My junior year of high school was my absolute best. I found a friend that was just an acquaintance before, and we realized we were soul sisters. She's still in my life today. My senior year, I was ready to get out of my small town, away from the mistakes I had made, away from people who thought they knew me. I wanted to start anew. I took a lot of college courses through distance education and got all of my English, math, and government courses done before I stepped onto a college campus, which was the best thing I ever did. I found the interior design course in school and decided that's what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I graduated high school and finally was on to college. College was one of the scariest things I've ever done, but one of the best things I've ever done. I got away from all of the bad, immature influences from back home and was able to meet real, true friends that I had only been able to do once or twice in high school. My freshman year was the biggest learning curve in my life, but my 5 roommates and our memories we made will be in my heart forever. I went back to the city I was born in and was sort of born again. I really became the person I wanted to be and the person I am proud to be. I did take on the interior design major at Utah State University. It was one of the hardest things I've done, but I did it. I worked extremely hard. I fumbled. I felt inadequate a lot. I had no clue what I was doing most of the time. But I was learning, and it was one of the best things I've ever done. The summer after my junior year, I was able to travel to New York City with a group of design students. We traveled to places I will never be able to go again, and I learned so many amazing things. That was the best trip I've ever been on. New York will always be in my heart. A week later, I was driving to San Francisco to start my 6-week internship at Dongia, which is a fabric showroom. Probably the hardest thing, but the most beneficial thing I've ever done in my life. A 3-hour morning commute and a 4-hour evening commute with 8 hours of filling my head with new information daily, it's tough. But being in San Francisco and being in the design district was magical and something that will stay with me forever. My senior year of college was great. I had a lovely set of true friends that I can still call on any time and they will do anything for me. I lived with my cousin and got to know her better. I was loving my classes. But my anxiety was through the roof. I couldn't sleep. I would have panic attacks for seemingly no reason. I had a hard time going to class. It was more than just senioritis. So I went to a school psychologist, which luckily is included in our pile of tuition fees. He was really good to me and suggested I participate in the group therapy sessions that happened every week. I was hesitant at first, but I started going to the ones that fit my schedule, and they gave me such a new perspective, and I was really grateful to have them to help talk through my anxieties. After I graduated, I had a really tough time finding a job. It was really depressing to move back to my parents' house and not have a job. Finally, 6 months later, and many resumes and interviews, a design job came to me. It was a graphic design job, but I had started to love typography and graphics my last semester, and I thought this would be a good thing to help me learn something new. So I jumped in with both feet. I learned so much, not just about design, but about myself in the 2 years I worked there. During that time and the 6 months before, I was feeling very sick all the time. My stomach hurt, my head hurt, I couldn't focus, I was tired, more than tired, I was exhausted. I went to so many doctors, it was almost as if I lived at the doctor's office. Long story short, I found out I'm allergic to gluten. I already knew I was allergic to dairy, I have issues with my thyroid, I have vitamin deficiencies, the whole 9 yards. Not to mention my anxiety was getting way worse and getting in the way of my everyday life. I also found out that I have mild ADD, which was not helping my job searching. I finally found 2 amazing doctors I love, and we have found a medicine cocktail that finally works for me, after much trial and error. At that point in my life, I was feeling so good. I wasn't going to let anyone step all over me again. My heart had been stomped on and broken by others too many times before, and I wasn't going to let that happen anymore. My heart had healed and was stronger than ever, and now my body was strong too. I made the choice to find a new job, and I did, and it was one of the best choices I've made. Working as a graphic designer in this new job is a great experience. I have amazing coworkers that treat me with respect and help me become better. There is only uplifting and growing for my heart here. Another thing I started after I graduated was my Etsy shop, where I sell my unique illustrations. Thanks to a good friend that gives great advice, it's really starting to grow into the shop I've always envisioned, and that makes my heart happy too. My newest adventure, as you all know, is this YouTube channel. I finally felt good enough emotionally and physically to do something like this, and my heart is so happy to see this little channel grow as you watch and enjoy my videos I pour my soul into. Thank you for accepting me for who I am. I'm grateful for the things that happened to me in my life, because without them, I wouldn't be who I am today, and my heart is so strong and ready to learn and grow more with every opportunity that comes my way. It looks for the lovely things now and doesn't let other people change the way it feels. I decide how I want to feel, what I want to do, who I want to be. Thanks so much for watching this Draw My Life. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had so much fun making this for you. If you did enjoy it, then don't forget to subscribe and thumbs up the video. And as for that, you are so lovely, and I will see you guys next time with another video. Bye!
When you subscribe to Keisha, life just gets much more fun. Thumbs up and comment below now. You are so lovely. If you enjoyed watching, here's what you can do. To find a mixture of lovely videos, subscribe to Keisha Egbert.